There you go.
All right. Hello, everybody. It is Tuesday, April 26th, and this is the Fierce to Pride and the Wildflower Tribe team call. I'll never get over the fact that that rhymes. I'm really loving that still. And tonight's team call topic is on the art of relatability. I really do believe that being relatable is at the heart of basically anything and everything that we do in this business, because it goes hand in hand with building those relationships, building those trusting relationships at that. And one thing I just want to point out, like if you have questions throughout the duration of the call, just type them in the chat box and we'll try and address them as they come up. Also, Kelly and I talked about this a little bit earlier, and we think we might have some extra time left over towards the end of the call. So if that's the case, we'll be more than happy to take some questions from you guys, because I feel like this is something that, we can all work on together. And it's something that, I feel like there's always room for improvement when it comes to things like being relatable and, relating to your target audience and the people that you're speaking to, and just conversations and building relationships in general. So, Kelly, do you mind sharing your screen if you're able to?
There we go.
I love that your desktop is just about as neat as mine is.
It's not.
It's a mess. All right, my friend. So you are up first. You good?
Yes. Okay. So actually, hang on. Actually, 2 seconds. Oh my. Okay, so first up, we're going to talk about being vulnerable and raw through your Facebook post. And throughout this call, we're going to be talking about being relatable. And I think a big portion of this is on social media. So it's not just the behind the scenes stuff that we're talking about, but it's also the things that you're doing for everyone to see. And I know I've said this before to my team, and I'm sure some of you guys have heard this as well, but I really believe that when you're vulnerable and raw on social media, you're doing yourself a favor. You're cutting back on the time that you really do have to invest behind the scenes, because you're building that foundation. So first and foremost, know that when you can conquer that, and when you've been practicing being raw on social media and vulnerable and relating to people through that platform, it's going to help in all areas of your business. So first and foremost, I wanted to tell you guys that social media is your platform to inspire. So I know that seems like a weird thing to start with, but you really have to think to yourself who you are wanting to help. Who do you want to change? Where do you want the people that are going to come into your life to go? You really have a story to tell that's specific to a certain niche of people, and you're going to be able to really speak to the heart of people that are like you. So you have to figure out where you're going, what speaks to you, what pushes you, what is your vision for who you want to help, and narrow it down. And I know a lot of times we want to help everyone, but if you can narrow it down and speak to that one person, that's where you're going to be really successful in this business. And I have a few things I wanted to say about that. When you're speaking to one, I think it's really important to craft who your avatar is. And we've gone over this in the training before, but give her a name and give her a story. I actually just gave mine a name and a story. Her name is Maddie. She is someone who is really insecure. She wanted to find passion. She knew she didn't want to sit behind a desk her whole life. She always got irritated at jobs because she always felt like she could do more and she wasn't being heard. And craft that whole story for your person. And when you put a post out that's a bit of your story, try to just see if the tone that you're speaking to is speaking to that one person. You're relating to that person, you're meeting them on their level, because really the avatar that you're crafting is going to be you. for the most part. So I think it's important to realize that when people are reading your post, they aren't thinking of you and what you're sharing specifically. Sorry, I hate to bring it to you, but they're thinking about how what you wrote relates to them. So when they're reading through your words, they're thinking, oh yeah, she's talking about getting stronger and I should get stronger. And she's talking about how, she should make a change and she made a change and I should do that. I should make a change too. So realize that what you're writing is not being heard, really. It's being heard through their eyes and through what they want to change. They're looking at how what you're saying could fit into their lives. So you have to show you care through your post. You have to show that you're a real person. You have to inspire engagement. There you go. You're welcome. And don't be afraid to share I literally wrote, don't be a share when you F up, because it really is what's going to make you be a real person in the eyes. Like, not everyone is happy to work out every single day. It just doesn't happen. And when I started coaching, it was definitely a fear of mine to write something like, oh my God, I didn't want to work out today. Because I thought, why would someone want me to inspire them? But that is just why, because you're real and people can relate to that. And that is obviously the theme of this call, being relatable. The posts that I write where I have a picture of myself eating pizza or drinking beer, I swear are the ones that get the most likes out of any of them. So that's just showing you who's watching when you can be real and honest with yourself and with your audience. So I wrote, if you're not standing out, if you're not rising above the noise, then you're blending in and you're not being heard. And you're not relating to that specific niche. So another thing I wanted to talk about, sorry, this slide is going on longer than I wanted to, Meg, but I think a really good point, a thing to do would be to make this jogger of list. And I wrote them all down for you so I don't have to read them all off, but what makes you the same as everyone else is a great one. And if you have a chance to write out these lists and when you're about to make a post, look at these lists and craft a post around one of these things. What makes you feel, what makes you laugh? Because guys, if something means something to you, if it speaks to you, it's gonna speak to other people too. So just being comfortable about that and breadcrumbing the things on these lists relate to others through your stories of these things. I'm gonna mute myself now.
Okay, so sort of to speak to what Kelly said too, the whole avatar exercise, guys, if you haven't done it, it's a must do. It's so important. And I'm actually gonna sort of kind of get into talking about that on my next slide, I believe. So anyway, let's talk about what we have in front of us presently. Feel, felt, found. This is key. Using this strategy is especially good for objections, I feel like. So rather than simply taking no for an answer and being like, okay, yeah, that's fine. Like, I'll just get back to you at a later date. Relate to them first. Here's an example. Somebody gives you an objection or like a no thank you when you've talked about maybe the pricing for Shakeology. And again, before you give any pricing information in an email, you always want to build up the value of what it is you're giving to them. So no prices typically in the first email anyway, but let's just say, okay, like this person is like, oh my gosh, $130 for Shakeology. Like, are you crazy? That's like, I can't swing that. That's ridiculous. I feel you. I totally understand. I remember when my coach told me how much, the initial investment of a challenge pack was. At the time, it was $160 for my 21-day fix program that I got started with. I felt like it was a lot of money when I was considering to make the investment myself. And this is what it would sound like for me, obviously, but I'd say, I was a part-time teacher. I wasn't really making all that much income, but I knew that I needed to start doing something for myself. My nutrition and my fitness had sort of fallen by the wayside. I wasn't doing anything to, help me in the areas of fitness and nutrition. And my confidence was lacking, and I just wasn't feeling very good about myself, and I had been unwell for a really long time. And what I actually found was that this investment is the one that keeps on giving. And it has totally transformed my health. For the first time in over 10 years, I know what it's like to actually be well again, and continue to sort of paint a picture about what that looks like and how it's transformed my health. So it's important to relate to them. Obviously, we get a lot of money objections. And if any of you on the call say that you haven't, I'd love to talk to you. So, talk to them about how you can relate. Also, like I said before, make sure that they understand the value of what you're offering. So many people have this preconceived notion about what Shakeology is, and it's your job as a coach to do your homework, to do your Shakeology homework, and to set those facts straight. I was talking to a prospect just last night who, she was like, I've tried PIO before, and a lot of people that I know do Shakeology and they love it and they speak so highly of it. But the thing is, like, it's really pricey compared to a lot of other protein shakes. Nails on a chalkboard, right? Like, we all know that it's so much more than a protein shake. So that's a golden opportunity to set those facts straight and to explain to them what the value is in the product, because they're getting so much more than just protein for $130. We all know that. Another common thing that you guys probably hear a lot, I'm going to do it on my own. The worst, I'm going to try using MyFitnessPal, like all that stuff. We know the value of what we have to share with these people. So again, set those facts straight. Be like, yeah, I totally understand. I was a little hesitant to get started with this journey myself. And, to sort of lean into a community, a support and accountability community, because I also felt like, I could do it on my own. But one thing I found in trying to do it on my own, and one thing that I've learned just from being a coach, is that accountability or lack thereof is like the number one reason why people, have unfinished success. I wouldn't call it failure. I'd call it unfinished success. So think about how you can tie the feel, felt, found concept or strategy into any conversation that you're having where you're met with an objection. So on to you, Miss Kelly.
Okay, and I just, Meg, are you diving into being relatable and new conversations too?
Being relatable in new conversations?
Or no?
I'm talking about finding a relatable nugget.
Okay, perfect. Okay, good. So I was going to say too, one thing I did want to add before my child got kind of crazy on my last slide is, if you're feeling like you're struggling with any of these things, with being relatable, or like Meg was just discussing, speaking to objections through your story, or through this approach, or sharing about you in any aspect on social media, it all comes down to being confident in who you are and being authentic. And if you're not confident and authentic in those areas where you feel like you need to be to share and be relatable, then it comes down to the personal development you're reading. And I know that sounds like, oh, it's a broken record, but I swear I never was this way, where I wanted to share and I was really open. In fact, like, social media was the thing that scared me the most, and being positive scared me the most. But I knew that if I wanted to be comfortable and be able to relate to people and be confident in myself and what I had to offer, that I had to dive into personal development. And that's what I did. So when I felt uncomfortable, if I felt like I couldn't do all of these things and relate to different people or even build connections, which I think a lot of times just communication in general is just being confident, then you have to decide to be that person that's going to improve that situation for yourself and dive into books that are going to help you become a more confident person in yourself. So, sorry to segue out, but I just wanted to say that because I felt that was a really important piece for me in my journey. And I'm going to just talk about really quickly about prospective coaches. It's really similar, same type of situation as if you were talking to challengers. You can speak openly to their objections through your story and how you felt. There's always a piece that you can relate to. And I know Meg's going to touch on this on the next slide, but guys, in everything that someone says, if they're talking openly with you and you're being open with them, you're going to find a little tiny piece that you can relate to. And I feel like I know you, because for me, social media, like I said, is a big piece of my business, and it attracts those people, again, that do have a lot in common with me that I can super relate to, because I have spent a lot of time trying to figure social media out. For example, today I actually saw someone at the library that said, I feel like I know you. We're friends on social media. And you got to own that. That's awesome. I think for a while, like Christina and I were talking about how that's a little bit awkward, but now I'm like, oh yeah, cool, totally. You know, and that opens the door. You have built that foundation. You are relatable already just by being open and raw on your social media posts. So that's something to be so super proud of. You would want people to look at your wall and already feel like you have that foundation built, because you know, you're being so open. So when I wrote this at the bottom, I said, oh my God, me too. I felt the exact same way. Something was missing for me. I was looking for more hobby in my life, more passion, more friends, more excitement day to day. I wanted to travel the world. I sure as hell wasn't trying very hard. And I didn't know how the hell I was going to make any of my dreams happen. Use your language. You don't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect grammar. Share a piece of your story when you're relating back to theirs, because to me, I mean, and it's the same thing, feel, felt, found. I don't really use like, I feel you. I felt the same way. I do that with my language. So, there's always something that you can relate to. There's always a piece with, no matter if it's coaching or challengers, where you can tell them a little bit about you and then share that you get that through your story. Again, just being totally vulnerable and raw, and not being afraid to tell them that, you know, you went through a hard time, you were depressed, you were looking for more, and you found the community. So, yeah, I know I just flew through a lot of information, but I feel like it's a basic same concept as with challengers. You're definitely having to utilize feel, felt, found to combat objections, rather than just saying, okay, like Meg said, you know, I found, you know, if doing that with a fit buddy or going to the gym, that didn't really work for me. You're obviously not going to say the gym's not going to work for you. You're going to say, I found that the gym didn't work for me. So here is what I found to work better for me.
Okie doke. So finding a relatable nugget in what it is in the conversation that you're having with this person, what it is they're saying to you. And you want to be careful not to make it so much about you, but just really look for that one piece of what they said that you can relate to or touch upon briefly. You want to send that clear message of, I understand, I can relate, I feel you, I totally get that, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, finding a relatable nugget can happen in like any conversation. It does not have to be related to Beachbody, or it doesn't even have to be in the midst of a conversation. So just last night, and I messaged Kelly instantly because this exact same scenario played out for Kelly a few weeks ago. I friend requested this girl who actually went to high school with Cody. She liked one of his posts on Shakeology, and her background, or her cover photo, was of a sunflower. And I was like, oh my gosh, I already love this person. Like, I just got this really great vibe from her and her photos and everything. And I was like, I texted Cody right away. I was like, I feel like I'm going to love this girl. Like, I don't know what it is. I just have this vibe from her. So I obviously reached out to her and I was like, hey girl, how's it going? Like, I just wanted to introduce myself, XYZ, that whole spiel. And I was like, by the way, I freaking love your cover photo. Don't know if this is too much, but I just got to tell you, like, sunflowers are my favorite flower. And I don't know why, but like, I just got these really great vibes when I went to your page, and I just wanted to reach out and say, hey, and like introduce myself so I don't sound like or look like a creep. And sure enough, one piece of the conversation unfolded to another part of the conversation, so on and so forth. She does Reiki. Like, I'm so into energy medicine. She's into essential oils. I used to sell essential oils. Like, we're talking about like chakras and shit. Like, I'm talking about how my root chakra's all out of whack, and she's telling me that she wants me to come over so that she can do some energy work on me. And I'm like, you're my soul sister. Like, how did this happen in 10 minutes? I just made a new great friend. And like, So again, it literally doesn't even have to be pertinent to Beachbody. It could be like you see something on their page that you just want to reach out to them about and be like, yo, I dig that. And relate to them in that way, because like, I mean, think about it. Before you were a coach, if somebody reached out to you and they were just like, I love this about what you put out there on social media, you'd be kind of flattered. You'd take that as a compliment. Like, it's totally, I mean, non-aggressive for the most part. Sometimes I feel a little creepy, but it's whatever. It's like totally my personality. Yeah, he raises his eyebrows. Real nice. But yeah, so it doesn't have to be Beachbody related. Your ultimate goal in any conversation, no matter what, is to build that trust, to build relationships, to establish ease and comfort in the conversation, and to offer them a solution to their struggles, to show them that you're no stranger to feeling what they feel or to being where they are in your own way. And obviously you deliver that message in a sensitive way, because like, as we always say, like, a person isn't a sale. A person is a person. If you're here and you're a coach and you're on this call, you're in this business for all the right reasons. And also, you know, if the conversation doesn't seem to be going anywhere, if they're giving you one-word answers, it's your job to put the life back into the conversation. Ask more questions with the sole intention of learning more about that person, to build that trust, to sort of tell that person, like, you know, it's okay, like, you can let your guard down a little bit. Not everybody is an open book, you know, like, we're so used to conversing with people every single day and to putting ourselves out there. Not everybody's used to that. Some people are just like very introverted and like don't really, Cody raises his hand. That changed when you met me. But, you know, go back to the forming acronym. Think, you know, what can I talk to them about in regards to like family, what they do for work, what they like to do for, you know, hobbies and recreation, before you get to that invitation step, obviously. And, you know, go to their social media, whether it's Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, whatever it is you're using that you're connecting with them on, and see what they've been up to. And, you know, even if they don't end up becoming your customer, this is so important to realize. You're still building relationships, which is, like I said at the very beginning of this call, building relationships and being relatable is at the heart of everything we do as coaches. Now, when you're building those relationships, those people are obviously going to be more likely to hop on over to your page or to like see your stuff in their newsfeed, and they're going to want to engage on what you're sharing, which in turn helps you to show up more in people's news feeds and on just social media in general. And it'll make you more likable. It'll make you more trustworthy and relatable and approachable as a human and a coach, and give you more credibility. So don't discount any conversation that you have with anyone. And, you know, I think my main thing is just like, please continue to ask questions. That's how you're going to be able to open yourself up to be more relatable, because the more you ask, the more you learn about somebody, and the more you'll end up ultimately finding that you have in common with people. Like, I just feel like we all have something in common with someone. And if you're finding that somebody is like totally polar opposite of you, maybe it's just because you're not asking the right questions or asking enough questions. Because we're all human and we all struggle with something, and we all, yeah, I don't know. I could rant about that, but because we have 10 minutes left, and I think, Kelly, unless you have something else to add, I think this would be a good time to sort of open it up to questions for people. You know, this can sort of be like a sensitive subject in a lot of ways. It's, you know, even though we're coaches, it can be really hard to feel like we relate to other people. And I think, like Kelly said, one of the best ways you can do that is really like hammer down, who are you? Who are you speaking to? Who is that one person? And really craft your posts and tailor what you're putting out there to attract that one person, because you'll have more to relate to, obviously, and it'll be easier to coach that person and mentor that person. So, but does anybody have any questions on tonight's topic or input?
I feel like, I don't know if anyone is actually going to ask questions. You can type it in the chat too if you don't feel comfortable unmuting, but just to reinforce what Meg said, it really is, it's not just relating in objections. I feel like for me, it's like anytime you build a new conversation, there is always something that you can take and run with. And if it's dying, if someone's answering you with one word answers, I mean, sometimes there's nothing we can do, but a lot of times I get that too. And I'm just like, oh yeah, cool, it's snowy. It was snowy here yesterday, you know, like who cares? It's something, it's better than just letting it go dead. So find that little piece. I mean, someone might think about it like this, like what's the alternative? Like you say something kind of like where someone could be like, cool, you related to like that weird tidbit, or the conversation ends. Like those are your choices. So I don't think there's anything wrong with just throwing something out there. If it works, not okay. If it doesn't, you tried to keep it going.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Is Aiden playing the harmonica?
Yes. Okay, Aiden with the harmonica right now. Let's just take it to
I can't.
Harmonica. Like Aiden with the harmonica break. Let's take a break. Another thing you can do is if you're having trouble, you know, keeping that conversation, you did a little like shot in the dark with the weather relating thing. You can also go to their Facebook wall and continue to find things that you relate to there. You know, if they're answering you with one word answers, then you can see something on their Facebook wall and say, hey, I just saw that you did this. Cool. Where'd you go? You know, so that's another way to keep it going if it dies on you. But really, I feel like relatability is the root to all of the conversations, all of networking, which really makes it the root of this business. So you have to be able to find that place where you're comfortable talking to people. Sorry, I'll stop babbling if you guys have questions now. I know that was the point of this whole.
Does anyone have questions? I also just want to say, unless somebody does have a question, I also just want to say that, you know, having these conversations and continuing with them and keeping up with them and just really working on the relatability component. Like if anybody's struggling hitting Success Club, and we all know by now that, like, you know, some months are harder than others in this business. That is going to be huge for everybody in terms of, you know, hitting their goal, their Success Club goal by the end of the month. Like, as long as you're doing the daily vitals, it's a foolproof system. And I know Kelly's talked to her team about this, and I'm going to be posting a video about it in my team page tomorrow, is that, you know, we need to control the controllable. If we're not seeing movement in our business within the first 2 weeks of the month, in terms of, like, you know, people engaging with us in a way that shows interest and wanting to join us on this journey, et cetera, we need to take a look at how many people we're reaching out to each day and have it be consistent, like Kelly and Dana were talking about in their Success Club tips video. So if you know, you're reaching out to 5 people a day, and maybe it's just one of those months, you guys, maybe it's just a hard month for everybody. If 5 people isn't enough, you control the controllable. You start maybe reaching out to 7 or 8 people a day. And again, working on the relatability component within each of those conversations. And obviously being relatable on social media, not just in your conversations. Are people doing well with selling the on-demand challenge pack? I haven't sold any on-demand challenge packs this month personally, just because I feel like people are more interested in the 22-minute hardcore stuff. I feel like it's a lot of it's indicative of like whatever we're sharing on social media, like unless somebody's like, no, I only want the Shakeology, then I really, really try to show them the value in spending that extra $10, and they get this whole portion control system, and they got their portion fix guide, and they've got their Shakeology shaker cup, and 3 months access to this awesome platform called Beachbody On Demand. But you know, for the most part, because I mean, I know for me, I've been sharing a lot about 22-minute hardcore, so that sort of seems to be, and by the way, all my clients are still paying $140 for it. Just saying, like it's apparently not on promotion, but it is. So yeah, that's where I've had my luck this month. But like if you have people who are just like, I only want Shakeology, that's a great way to leverage that challenge pack, because
That's
$10 more.
That's all I just typed that, but I've never tried for that. If someone says they want a variety or they don't want to stick to a program, but mostly just people that are interested in drinking Shakeology, then I offer that as like an add-on, because I mean it's basically the same for them to try out. So
Right, and they just get so much more more bang for their buck. So yeah.
I just asked a question in there, but do you guys feel like it's harder for you to find things to relate to people with as far as with the new conversations, or is it harder for you to use this tactic, feel, felt, found, with battling objections? Like, where is relatability a struggle for you? Or on social media? Or not a struggle at all?
No, don't touch him. Don't touch him. No, I'm serious. Don't. My dog's an angry old hag, sorry.
Social media. Melissa, have you made those lists yet? Have you seen those, the list that I just shared in the slide? Because it wasn't a call actually that I shared a little bit back, but and I can type them out too, but I feel like that really helped me when I started thinking about it, like, well, what's the same as everyone else? Or, you're doing a great job. Oh, I forgot you're sick. I'm so sorry. You've been doing a great job with social media, honestly, lately. You really have. But I think it's just, like finding that sweet spot. You're sharing your journey. You're speaking to, it's just being confident and knowing that whatever you're doing and whatever you're feeling and struggling with, other people are going through that too. The lists are like,
in the slide.
When I was on the slide, yeah. What's normal about you? What sets you apart? What problem does Beachbody solve? Okay. I have this notebook. It's called Create. And I have my themes for myself, like fitness, food, adventure, coaching, my lifestyle, family. And I wrote the questions down. I wrote stories, speak to objections, and quotes. And then I just write every time I have an idea, anytime in my personal development, if something comes up, like it's a new thing I've been doing, but I feel like it really helps me, because if I'm stuck, I'm like, okay, I'll just open my notebook and that'll prompt a story that I have that I can share.
Love it.
I didn't see any of the other questions. Well, I guess we're about to.
Yeah, we're about to get cut off, but we can open it up in our team pages for sure.
You definitely have to do some research, Katie. I mean, that's part of the gig. Like,